Welcome back to Hot Mess Espresso, guys. This week we have the creator of it's a great doll. It's My Moody Monster. Please welcome Jennifer.
Thank you so much
Hi.
for having me on, Heather.
Yeah, no, I saw what you created and I absolutely knew you had to be on here. So, what is My Moody Monster? What made you create it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a single mom. I have two boys, and I live with complex
Godspeed.
PTSD. I live with complex PTSD and major depressive disorder from childhood trauma.
hmm
And I live with these diagnoses. I say I live because I refuse to suffer from them.
hmm
I think it's really important that I always keep that in my head that I live
Right.
with it, but I do not suffer from it.
That's a good one.
And one day I was in a therapeutic group and I was really frustrated with my symptoms. And I was just like, I wish I had a monster that I could rip apart and throw across the room and bang against the walls. And the other people were like, yeah, you should have that. And I was like, okay. So I'm not a seamstress or anything like that, but I went home and made this doll that I called PTSD Pete.
hmm
And they had Velcro so that you could rip the arms and legs and head off. And then, as I was using Pete, I realized that it could be something that could be helpful to a lot of other people,
Right.
especially children, because
hmm
I think when I was growing up, I was not allowed to have emotions, to show my emotions,
Yep.
for fear of, getting hurt or be put down or something like that. So
hmm
I feel like it's really important for children to learn that all emotions are valid. And it's just how you cope with those emotions that is, how you get through life. And
Right.
having a tool such as Moody um, is so important for parents to be able to sit down with their children, let them go at it with the frustration and rip Moody apart. But when you put Moody back together again, that's a chance for you to sit down and talk about what happened and what kind of coping skills that can be built on both
hmm
sides, not only the child but also the parent, because as it can be very difficult to keep your own emotions in check.
Right. No, absolutely. Now, what was kind of the feedback when you started like showing people what he does and all of that?
Oh, it was great. It was so good because they really enjoyed the feel of Moody, the
hmm
sound that it makes. Specifically, autistic children were very drawn to
Mm.
Moody, and I've been hearing a lot of feedback for specifically autistic children that Moody has been great for them to be able to communicate without verbally communicating.
Yeah, no, that's sometimes I wish I I mean this I guess it's a doll. I guess do we classify it as a doll?
Yeah, 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 like a plush doll, plush toy.
Yeah. Some days like even me with like my ADHD or like my borderline rage, well it's CPTSD now, but with like the rage that you get from that is just like it'd be good for adults too, not just even kids.
Yeah, I just finished getting my trademark for Moody, and my
That's so
lawyer,
exciting.
yeah, oh, it was so exciting. My lawyer,
hmm
she needed a Moody herself, and she says she uses it all the time. She tells everyone about it because it really is something like if you're on in a meeting,
hmm
and you're getting frustrated, you can actually rip Moody apart while you're on that Zoom call
Right?
without anybody knowing, and you're getting that frustration out.
Yeah. No, I definitely like there's just some days that I'm just like I want to punch a wall.
Mhm.
And like my little 5 foot ass is not actually gonna punch a wall, but just having something to like chuck around would be incredibly helpful. Now you were saying you're finding that it's having a lot of success with autistic children. Are you finding that it's like, have you kind of done, I guess, unofficial studies on kids with ADHD or other like childhood kind of ragey disorders?
So I did some testing with a lot of different families, therapists, and teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And my oldest son has ADHD, and when he was younger, he had trouble with emotion regulation. So he would get
Mm-hmm.
really upset, and then afterwards, he would go into a shame spiral because he
Yeah.
felt he couldn't control himself,
Mm-hmm.
and he felt badly afterwards that maybe he broke something or he hurt someone in some way. And I
Mm-hmm.
really honestly wish I had a Moody at that point for him so that he could take out that pent up energy, frustration that needed to be let out so that he wouldn't have that feeling of shame afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's a better question. Do you currently use the Moody Monster sometimes?
Oh, yes, all the time.
I love it.
All the time.
I love it.
It's funny because you just don't even think about it. I will sometimes get triggered, and I
Mm-hmm.
definitely use Moody during those trigger times because they're soft, they're squishy. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
tactile to it, and
Mm-hmm.
it can take my mind off of that trigger. And hearing it rip is just so
So
satisfying.
satisfying, I'm sure.
I spent 3 years perfecting the Velcro. I went to
The
a
tear
bunch of
off.
different places just to find the stickiest Velcro I possibly could find.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, you got to make it like hard. Otherwise, it's like it loses its like gusto 45 seconds in.
Right. And it's been over a year since I got my final Moody, and still the Velcro is still doing great. It's holding on. It's making that rip so satisfying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, where can you find Moody?
Moody is at our website, which is mymoodymonster.com.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on all of the socials as My Moody Monster. And I also have a YouTube channel that I do Moody story time. So I pick a book that's about feelings, and Moody and I read the book. And I have a bunch of those up on YouTube. And I also do talks, Moody talks about
Mm-hmm.
emotions and coping skills that you can use for them.
That's amazing. Especially the YouTube. I feel like I will be legitimately tuning into that just because like, you know, you kind of reparent yourself when you're healing a lot, when you're an adult. So you kind of go back to like the feeling books and stuff like that just to kind of be like, oh yeah, that's a normal emotion. Like, because we spend how much time invalidating the living daylights out of ourselves, especially, you also live with CPTSD, so you know how much time we spend just being like, you're overreacting, like so it's it's definitely something to like see these creations and be like, I wish I had that as a kid, and then realizing, no, you can use that as, a 32-year-old adult as well. Like it's fine because
Oh,
we're
yeah.
still we're still learning our own level of emotional regulation for sure.
We all need
Which,
coping skills that are going to work.
yeah. So, especially with this creation, do you feel like while you were creating it or after you created it, you kind of were reprocessing some things that you went through and kind of like rehealing or just unpacking things that you had buried and stuff like that, especially being an adult and out of the situation that you're in now? Like, did you find that there was a lot of healing you still needed to do with the creation of Moody?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm on the healing journey that you know very well, that
Mm-hmm.
is not linear in any way, shape, or form. It's a roller
Never
coaster.
ending.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been healing since like my early 20s, and
Mm-hmm.
constantly working through it. But Moody is actually, I feel like it's my love story to my healing
Oh.
because I created something out of my own pain that
Mm-hmm.
is helpful and hopeful for others and for myself. So as I was working on Moody and putting all of that attention into him and trying to figure out exactly what Moody stood for and what was
Hmm.
needed to go with Moody to help kids. Like I went into an accelerator program for a nonprofit business organization, and there I was able to completely craft the brand and craft the doll. But I also realized that, maybe there needs to be a book that goes with them so that they can, children can understand better through Moody's voice. So I created a coloring
Right.
book that talks about big feelings. So I was putting a lot of my own healing into trying to help others to better understand their emotions.
Which is amazing, but there's a coloring book.
Yes, 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 there is. I have a really good
It's
friend who did my logo and did my coloring book, and it's just so darn adorable.
oh my
It's
God.
great.
I
So
love
yeah,
that.
it's and then I didn't have the doll for so many years that I had to figure out what I needed to do to keep myself out there and to get
Hmm.
people interested. So that's where I started with Moody Storytime. And I just kind of grew from there. When I wanted to do the Moody Talks, I was working on my own coping skills. I was learning on, I was doing a lot of DBT with groups and was learning great skills that I thought other people could use,
Right.
just in their regular everyday lives. Even if you don't have a diagnosis, if you don't
Right.
have trauma in your life, you still need coping skills for everyday life.
Yes. It just is a little easier to learn the coping skills when you're not like, chronically traumatized.
Right. Absolutely.
just a little. So, trying to figure out how I want to word this next question because we kind of talked about it for everyone listening and all of my guests. I wind up doing a planning call with just to kind of get a feel of them, figure out what topics we're going to talk about, all of that stuff, and also to like make sure that it's they're kind of in tune with my vision for things, blah 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 blah. And we had talked about the court system and all of
Yes.
that. And I know a lot of people that listen to this deal with trauma and stuff like that. I've been through the court system a little bit. You've been through the court system. Would Moody have helped your journey going through how unbelievably invalidating that system is?
So, yeah, I do. I think so. I think everyone needs a buddy when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to that trauma that you have. One of the things that I would really like to be able to do with Moody is when I order dolls, I plan on giving a portion to kids who have been in traumatic events. So I want to give them to office, first responders, social workers, hospitals for kids who have been through things because I
Mm-hmm.
know what it feels like to be through things, those
Yeah.
things in particular. So I think that Moody would be a great assistant in that sense because, especially if I were to have received Moody as part of working through the trauma,
Mm-hmm.
like if I was given Moody by a therapist or something like that, that I could
Mm-hmm.
have with me at times where I could, just have a buddy who understands, right? I mean, not even having to rip them apart, but to just have
Yeah.
knowing that there's someone there, even if it's
Right.
just your doll buddy, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that and yeah, especially after like a not so great court hearing, just being able to step out into the hallway and just, you
Absolutely.
know,
And when I was going through the court system, I was 13, 14 when the
baby.
abuse in my family came out.
Yeah.
And I spent years in talking with prosecutors, talking with lawyers, talking with
Hmm.
guardian ad litem's, going in front of a grand jury. And
Ugh.
it's a whole new, brand new trauma that
Yeah, that's terrifying.
erupts. it erupts from the already traumatic events that you've been through throughout
Absolutely.
your life. So I strongly feel that our court systems need to figure out how to make children not feel like they're the bad guys in the
Yeah.
story.
Well, they do it to adults too.
Hmm.
I remember when I made my police report with my incident, and I literally looked at the detective and I was like, who's the one in the wrong here? Because I'm starting to feel like it was me. And it's just, and I get that they have a job to do, and I get that they're just trying to get to the bottom of it, and they're trying to weed out people that are inconsistent and just using the system for their own personal gain or abusing the system. But holy shit, there is zero empathy for people that awful things have happened to.
Hmm.
And it's
And
like, even as an adult, I was just like, what the hell? Because I was 28. I was 28. Wait, yeah, 28. And it was
yeah,
just like, who's the one that did the bad thing here? Because it wasn't me, you know?
and yeah, they treat you like you're just a pain in the ass,
Yeah, like they
honestly.
don't want to be there. And it's like, that's why
They
people don't
don't want.
report,
Yeah, absolutely. Why people don't report.
you
It's
know?
because again, it becomes a brand new trauma out of the
Yep.
trauma you've already endured.
Mm-hmm. It's like the shit sprinkles on on the really bad Sunday,
Exactly.
basically. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
and
think,
so
yeah.
no, no, no. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think Moody it's bad enough as an adult going through the system. Being a kid has got to be like times 10. So
Yeah,
having
I'm
a Moody would not fix it, but it would help, because I'm sure that had to have felt super isolating.
very, very isolating, and I had just started high school, so that
Ugh,
was a whole
kids are
other
great.
trauma out of it,
Yeah,
So
kids are real
there were
great.
there were yeah, there were kids there that had no idea what I was going through, and didn't didn't really think much about what other how other people feel.
Hmm.
Teenagers are just can just be crummy. They can just be
They're
rude little
fun.
shits.
They are. I'm like dreading when my nephew becomes a teenager, because he's already at the age and he's got my sass and my wit. So like, he's got the eye roll perfected, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have done that in front of you so much. But I'm like, I'm dreading the day you become a teenager, because I'm just gonna be like, buddy, we can square up in the driveway. Let's go. you know,
Yep, yep. It's funny. I
I
had two
wouldn't
very good.
actually. For clarification, I would never square up with him, but like, I'm gonna say I will.
You know, but
Oops.
yeah. No, I honestly think that children who are in the traumatic events such as like house fires, and I've talked with social workers who see a lot of children who have seen their parents have a drug overdose, children who are in foster care or going into foster care. They're given a plastic bag to throw whatever they can put in there into it, and then they
Mm-hmm.
just leave.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there are children who are having cancer treatments, they're having invasive surgeries, that kind of thing, that I really want to be able to give them comfort in those
Yeah.
times because I would have loved to have been comforted in any way.
Now, do you feel like, when like seeing where Moody's gone and how Moody has helped, do you kind of feel like that heals your inner child a little bit?
It does, yeah. I really feel as though Moody has helped me through some pretty difficult flare ups, I guess you could call
Mm-hmm.
them, symptom flare ups. And I am happy for myself, and I'm happy to be able to help others explore their own inner child.
Yeah, we love that. And so basically, what we're kind of getting at is Moody's great for kids, but it's also good for adults too, especially
Absolutely.
those of us dealing with some complex and chronic trauma that just need to chuck something against a wall that's not going to do too much damage.
Oh
And
yeah.
there's a coloring book. I'm very excited about the coloring book. Cause like
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
just that chills me out. It really
And
does.
yeah, I mean, it was just I needed something more to be sure that the introduction of Moody was getting to the point that it needed to get to. That kids are
Mm-hmm.
going to feel all these different emotions, and none of them are wrong.
That right there.
You aren't doing anything wrong by having an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us grew up with don't show your emotions in public, don't be an angry girl, don't make people uncomfortable. So we learn to just shove them down.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes even have secondary emotions attached to that emotion because you can't show the original one, the primary one.
Yep.
So, a lot of times if I feel fear, I immediately hit anger because I feel like I'm in
Yep.
more control of my surroundings, of my body. I have more of an idea of what's going on. But fear just knocks me out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just had an incident yesterday where somebody in a group chat made a super asshole comment to me, and I was just pissed. And I couldn't call them out because it would have made the situation worse. Because they're kind of the type of person that even if you call them out and draw the boundary and be like, you're not going to speak to me like that, somehow they're the victim. And
Hmm.
so when you're saying like it brings out another emotion, I got even more pissed from that. So that would have been that would have been great to just kind of like
Mm,
tape their picture and just and then just be like, you know what, it's all good now.
right. Bye. Bye bye.
It's literally like, so I like to, and that's just kind of in relation to what you just said, that like sometimes when you feel the emotion and you can't actually address it, it brings out a bigger emotion. So I love what you're doing with this. I think that Moody is incredibly important for people of all ages and of all emotional spectrums, to just, I don't know, it's like the equivalent of, throwing some punches in a boxing ring, but not everybody has access to a punching bag kind of
Right.
thing. So this is just incredible, and I think it's going to really help everyone learn how to just channel their emotions, like, because we're all going to be angry, we're all going to have those like rage moments, and that is channeling it in a more productive way, tearing apart a doll than verbally like tearing apart another person, so I
Yeah.
just, oh my god, I love what you're doing.
It's a safe space and a safe way for
Exactly.
children to just let it all out and not feel badly about it afterwards. Because
Exactly, because that's what it's meant to do. I love it so much. So just to clarify real quick, you can find Moody at My Moody Monster.
one word.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, go get one. Honestly, everyone, because I'm getting one. I'm getting one for my nephew. I feel like
Yeah. You know
he
what?
definitely could use it.
I actually just sold out, so I'm going to be ordering new. Yeah,
Yay!
yeah, I'm so excited. My first order is done and it's been phenomenal. So I'm going to be
Gosh,
ordering. So I'm going to be putting up a pre-order link on the site so that you
perfect.
can get it when as soon as it comes into my hands, it will go out to
Excellent.
yours.
Excellent. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for taking this time out. I think what you're doing is incredible and so helpful, and hopefully will help more people just channel their complex emotions in more healthy ways.
Yeah, that's my hope.